So we've covered the Pixel 9 series. We lived with the Pixel 9 for a little while. We've been living with the Pixel Watch and the Pixel Buds Pro a little bit less, to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
How are you getting on so far?
2 weeks. Yeah, so what's interesting this year is the watch came after the phone. So in terms of for the casual average buyer, I guess that's better in terms of you having time to enjoy the phone, and then when you get the watch, that's a whole nother stuff to dive into, versus it happening at the same time. But on the flip side of that, it's having a new phone, having a new watch simultaneously. That's kind of nice too. Gives like the full experience of new stuff in one go, in one drop, as you would say.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm on the latter side. I think I would prefer to have everything in one go. But I guess from a wallet damaging perspective, you wouldn't necessarily want to have both things at the same time or all three things at the same time. You are usually the kind of person who dual wields watches. But which one have you gone for this time around? Have you gone for 45 or the 41mm?
So for the review process, I did the 41. And then after that was over, I did the 45, like on my wrist, full replacement, switching Fitbit for like a week and a half maybe. So in my call, I absolutely see the benefit, like the bigger screen of the 45. But at the same time, the improvement to me was not being able to see more stuff, but it was to have more surface area for my finger, if that makes sense. That ended up being the biggest benefit for me, just being able to like move around without hitting the court, without dropping off basically or hitting the ground. That ended up being why I appreciated the 45, but that ultimately was not enough for me to leave the small watch to the compact size. How about you?
I received the 45mm, and that is the watch that I'm currently wearing right now. And I must admit that I didn't think the difference would make... I didn't think it would make that much difference in terms of like my overall comfort, but I mean, I don't really have big wrists, but it's just so much better to have a bigger screen to look at. The bezels are less pronounced. The screen feel obviously is a lot brighter as well than the previous gen.
When do you notice that? When is it mostly when you're outside or what's?
Yeah, I think
where
so.
do you feel you notice that?
Don't get me wrong. I live in dingy England, so having a bright screen doesn't make that much difference. But it is mostly when I'm outside. Things like when I go for a dog walk, for instance, I can just kind of like flick my wrist and see the time. I have left the always on display on I'm confident enough to do that now because the bigger size means a bigger battery, and I'll get more into that in a little bit later. But just a bigger screen I don't know why. Maybe I didn't think it mattered, and maybe I kind of convinced myself that a smaller watch screen is not a big deal because I've come from Casio's. But yeah, having that big, nice, detailed display, I'm looking at it right now while I'm speaking, and there's just so much real estate on your wrist. It is really, really nice. I think they've done a great job in terms of like the watch faces as well. I've kept the default one because it's really nice to see all of those things at the same time, and it doesn't feel like, I think sometimes with a fitness-based wearable, it can feel shoehorned in. Like, oh, I need to know my VO2 max and what the current heart rate is and how many steps I've done. It feels cohesive, and I do think that Google did a great job with the first gen and then the second gen with the new watch faces. But this current one, let me just quickly check what it's called. The Active is excellent. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I don't know if you've been using any different ones.
Yeah, I've been using the Active. It's just not a nice. Have you been using Active with the extra ring of complications or just the circular ones?
I've just been using the is the circular ones the ones that go around the edge?
No, that's the ring. I think that's Google's terminology.
Okay.
So you either have 5 complication slots or 9.
I think I have 5. I think I have the full. I've left it default. I'm confusing myself now. I've just left it straight out the box. I changed one of the quick app access panels to workouts, and the other one is weather, but which is a bit redundant because I have the weather right next to it. So hey, sue me.
You can always have the weather. You can always have more weather.
Yeah, it changes so drastically here all the time that it's kind of like important. But yeah, I think they've nailed it with the first watch face on it. It's very, very, very rarely that I keep the default one.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been speaking to some other people who picked up the 45mm and mostly the 45mm by the sounds of it. They've been saying that they've just kept it simple with the active watch face. I'm confusing it with watch band now. And yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I think they've done a really good job with that. I think some of the other watch faces they've had have been great, but just the way that they've crammed in data without it basically feeling crammed in is a really good way to manage that screen size.
Mm-hmm.
I must admit though, I haven't really been doing a great deal with the watch like I thought I did with the first version. I love the new app drawer, but I haven't been using many applications, to be honest. I've just been using Fitbit.
I agree. I think that's how these things ultimately, there's obviously the novelty of using, getting something new and using all of it. But between the watch face complications and the tiles, I think I rarely go into apps. It's especially with the AOD on. It's glanceable. This is a glanceable device. You shouldn't, in the most optimal scenario, you shouldn't be flipping or swiping to apps on your wrist, because that's just not it's good in a pinch, but it's not ideal compared to a phone. So I think Google, as is with these complications with these tiles, they struck a good amount of glanceability, which I think is such an important factor for wearables.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, for me, glanceability is the core aspect of any wearable anyway, because I just use it as a notification bridge, because I don't have notifications on. Well, I don't have vibrations or sounds on my phone, so getting it on my wrist is really, really nice. It's one of those things that it's just like, it's an extension of just the notification shade, so I don't very often reply to things.
That's a good way of thinking about it.
It is nice that sometimes, like if I receive something on Google Messages, that the larger screen means the keyboard's easier, you're not like mushing it as much. And I don't think it was bad.
The keyboard remains surprisingly usable. I
feel like it feels even more usable as a result of the larger screen, which is always nice. You can look at it and be like, oh, it's bigger screen, bigger keyboard, but I think Google's done a lot of work on the smaller one anyway. So I do respect that aspect of it. I think it's great, but I don't like it compared to using my phone. So most of the time I get a notification ping, I check my phone, or I swipe it away on my wristwatch. I don't know if you do the same thing.
No, yeah, no, I think I don't enable Gmail notifications for my wrist. I wish I could, because I don't want to see my work notifications. I wish I could I wish it was account by account level. Maybe that's something you can hack with private space. That's an idea. So I just want to see in an ideal world, I'll just see my personal notifications, not all of them. But it's notification bridge. That's a good way to put it. So in terms of, so it looks the same. You went from the Pixel Watch 1 to the Pixel Watch 3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's, how about
it is a big leap.
Performance-wise, what's that been looking like for you?
Well, it just doesn't lag anymore. Like, I think you open up a menu. The only thing I will find is I have a case. I put a case on it because I managed to get a tiny. Yeah, I have a tiny little nick on the edge of the screen where I caught it. I think on a zipper. And it's not. Don't get me wrong. You wouldn't notice it unless I told you, but I know it's there. That's the worst thing about it. And but yeah, so when I'm using the crown to open the notification shade or things like that, obviously it's harder for me to do that with the case on, but when you do it, it's more instantaneous. It feels more kind of like you're actually making that change, and it's not doing it after the fact. It's doing it as you do. It's like moving as you do it. There's obviously some improvements as well in terms of like inertia and stuff with the crown, but obviously that's all tied to the performance. It definitely just feels like I can swipe and everything's doing it instantaneously, as opposed to there's maybe a millisecond of hidden lag. But it isn't. Yeah, it's not like I'm opening lots of applications. I'm not going to sit here and say that I open loads of applications on my wristwatch, but it is nice to just do things like go onto the Play Store. It loads fairly quickly now, and updating an application doesn't take as long. But I guess anyone who's had the Pixel Watch 2 probably is not really necessarily seeing any performance increase.
It speaks to how if you have an original Pixel Watch and you didn't upgrade to the Pixel Watch 2, it kind of puts you in an interesting position at the 3. You do get improvements, but you're basically some of the hardware is from last year. So I think the going assumption is next year there will be a new chip. I guess it really comes down to when Qualcomm releases something new, but it's about time for them to do that. But yeah, do you go with the Pixel Watch 3? Do you go for the bigger size, bigger screen, definitely an upgrade, or do you wait again and go for something bigger? Especially in specs.
I think it would make sense if you're seeing horrendous battery life, which I know a lot of Pixel 1 owners still complain about. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think it's sensible to do that because you are making sure that you're not inhibiting yourself by having a smaller watch, but one that is going to be able to do the things that you want to do with it. Like they've added features, haven't they? Backported them to the Pixel 1. But you would be frustrated if you were using the GPS and the battery dies in less than 10 hours. So I think in that respect, it would make a big difference. But even just the colour lineup, I think the colours this time around are very, very nice. I know there's not necessarily huge changes there, but I like the fact that they've gone with the matte hazel colour. I've gone with the matte hazel colour this time.
I also got that colour. It's a lot more interesting than matte black than you'd expect. It's subtle. It's especially you don't really see the bezels as much, obviously, on the Pixel Watch, but the screen takes most of it. But you definitely see your watch from angles and customizing the color to what you want. Go for it. Get the color you like, then the one that looks best on your wrist at all angles.
Yeah, I think as well, though, just the fact that it's a matte colour. The matte colours this time around, obviously I'm coming from the Pixel Watch 1, so I'm talking from that perspective. Like having that shiny silver stainless steel case, I believe it was just a scratch magnet, even if you protected it. Like you could have it in a case and it would like buff the metal and give you like scratches. And that was not that nice. So
Cases
obviously for a time...
and no scratches here. You're welcome.
Okay, well, you're obviously more protective than I am, but I think it's very much a case of you want a timepiece that looks timeless. And sometimes I think a matte finish does that really well. I think that's why matte colours don't necessarily age as bad as far as I'm concerned.
As long as it doesn't get smudgy. So that's always my concern with matte. Smudges.
But yeah, I think another thing with the bigger watches, I was concerned a little bit about the comfort aspect. But I've kind of become accustomed to the exercise. It isn't heavy. Don't get me wrong, the Pixel Watch 45mm is not heavy. It's just you notice it more, obviously, because, like I say, and I still need to take your advice on this by flipping it so that the crown is on the opposite side of my wrist, because I wear it on my left wrist, the traditional
facing
style.
Out. Yeah.
So yeah,
facing out.
You kind of have to become accustomed to that, because if you do things like if I go to the gym, for instance, and I do a pushing exercise, your hand is definitely pressed up against the crown and you can activate it accidentally. And that's something I have been doing a lot more, but I've moved it up my wrist. When I'm doing a workout, it just negates that problem. But yeah, there's little things that you have to get used to if you've come from the older ones. But yeah, it's a comfortable. I think the design is very well done. I'm glad that they stuck with this.
It does not
kind
feel
of button
stretched
shape.
out. It absolutely does not feel stretched out. It's enough. This design obviously scales well.
And another thing that has ridiculously scaled is the battery life. Like, I don't know how you're faring, but like even after nearly a month and a half of daily wear, I'm only charging once every couple of days. Yeah, I can get 2 days with ease. Yeah, I'm going away this weekend, so I might even try. It's a bit ridiculous to do this. I might try and charge it to 100% on Friday when I leave
before you
in the
leave.
afternoon.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't charge it, and see if I can manage the entire weekend without actually charging it,
and without enable. Yeah, so there's the new battery saver. They specifically stated you can do that. Those kind of workloads. charge it for the weekend, or rather don't have to charge it for the weekend. But now that you bring that up, I wish 3 generations in we got better charging accessories. I don't always want to bring a cable around. I wish we had some kind of a puck or something compact to charge the Pixel Watch on the go. I just don't like bringing a cable around.
Yeah, I've managed to pick up a couple of cheap ones and I haven't tested them yet. But I mean, obviously when you're not charging every day, or sometimes some people are charging the original one twice a day, so you don't necessarily have that frustration. But I do agree with you, it would have been nice to have some sort of like wireless charging method that we could have used. I do like the fact that the the Apple Watch is magnetic, I believe. So I think Samsung does something similar, so you can get a little bit more like docked style chargers. I think that would be kind of cool. But yeah, you're not charging as frequently. The battery is genuinely excellent. Like I've done 2 days.
It's
and
absolutely
back-to-back
a thing to consider if you're between the 41 and the 45. You do get that better battery.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best battery I've ever had. I think the Galaxy Watch Watch 5 Pro, I think, was the best that I've experienced. But that was like a 6-day watch with all of the exercises as well. But from anecdotally, I've done a workout at the gym for an hour, gone for a dog walk for 45 to an hour in the day. So 2 hours of like GPS, a fitness heart rate, and then done the same thing the next day. And that's only when I've seen it drop below that 20% and hitting battery saver. So you can get 48 hours of pretty intense usage, which you just couldn't get from the first gen.
No.
So in that respect, it is a huge upgrade. And that's obviously one of the biggest complaints. But while we're on complaints and while we talked about accessories for charging, I have to say there are not as many accessories this year for the 45mm specifically, and that has been a big frustration.
Yeah.
Has been a big frustration.
You're absolute, like if you're on the 45 right now, I feel like you're absolutely on the default band. You probably even don't have the options to take it off.
Yeah, this is the problem. I think this is one of the major problems, is that if you don't go with an official band, there's probably only 2 or 3, and they come from the same company anyway. So I'm currently rocking a Spigen, like almost a fabric band. They do one in like a khaki green color, but only for the 41mm. They don't do it for the 45. So I'm using a plain black one. This is probably the best of the worst, if that makes sense, because we don't have any. There's no third-party manufacturers really making them.
Yeah, I think
that's disappointing.
Manufacturers, they need to readjust. The 45 will be popular, and they need to readjust expectations. So
yeah, I'm hoping that in the next 5 to 6 months we get more accessories, but it might be one of those ones that we don't see until Pixel Watch 4, sorry. But yeah, they're the only really disappointing aspects of the Pixel Watch so far. I think I've been really, really impressed with the 45mm. I think it was one of those products where I was like, I didn't really have any strong feelings coming in. I know that you're a watch wearer. I'm less of a watch wearer. Did you feel like it's hit all of the marks that you expected it to, or has it gone above and exceeded what you were thinking?
Pixel Watch, again, okay, from the 41 perspective, the screen got a little bit bigger, and I do appreciate that. With the 41, it's very easy to think of it as like a Pixel Watch 2.5. The 45 is absolutely a 3rd generation Pixel Watch. But I think after using it for a few weeks, I'm coming upon the idea that it should, especially I've been using the latest Apple Watch 2 with a 42mm screen, which is the size of the original large one like 10 years ago. I think the Pixel Watch needs to grow. The small Pixel Watch needs to grow from 41 to 42 if they get the bezels down. If they can do a significant shrink. Otherwise, I think 43 with this design language, I think that'll still be small enough to appeal to people that have slimmer wrists. But I think the screen needs to get a bit bigger to really drive home the point that the apps really shine. The OS, the UI, the watch face is really shine and become more glanceable as the bigger your screen gets. So I think they need to go even bigger again.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, hey, it would be hilarious to see like a tablet-sized wristwatch screen, wouldn't it? Or we had I don't know when we had that a few years ago. We had those like band-style wearables. I don't know if you remember those. They were like basically it was just Android running on a wrist. The entire strap was like the screen. Like, hey, I don't think we should ever get to that point. I think they were a bit ridiculous, and they felt like a rip-off Star Trek gimmick gadget. But I definitely think that it makes sense to have, especially because there's a lot of material U tweaks in the Pixel Watch now. It definitely feels like Google's obviously read their own memo and made things look a lot better and cohesive with your phone itself. But I'd be interested as well to hear if anybody out there has a Pixel Watch but doesn't use a Pixel phone. I do wonder how many people there is, because what is the Samsung and Google who are making Wear OS watches now?
I really do think the Pixel Watch makes a better default Android smartwatch in the Galaxy stuff. It's in terms of purely from like a software standpoint, because I use the Galaxy Watch, I use the Galaxy Watch 4 with the Pixel phones, and that felt so. The companion app felt so Samsung-y. It's obvious in that sense, but I think the Pixel Watch stuff is a better default. It's a more familiar, just from the companion app standpoint, from Google's other apps, and I think that's a better default Android smartwatch for everybody.
So yeah, I think with regards to Pixel Watch 3, I think drawing a line under it, if you're going to go for one this year and you want the larger screen, get the 45. I wouldn't even look at the 41 personally. I think that might be for someone who is maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit physically smaller person. I think if you're a physically big person, you'll benefit from a bigger watch. But I think for a lot of people, the 45 is the best one. How do we feel then about this other product that was released slightly later again, as we alluded to at the start of this?
Yes.
Pixel Buds, because I'm going to have some strong feelings about these. But I want to hear what you. I want to hear. No, it's pun intended. I want to hear what you think first.
They are small. They are surprisingly small compared to the original Pixel Buds. I will give them that. Every time I take it out of my ear, there's still a novelty to, whoa, these are pretty small. That being said, I kind of still find the original Pixel Buds Pro more comfortable. They had this slope, this almost bean design that rested well in my ear. With this one, it feels like the rubber tip is floating in my ear, the ear hole. I'm sure there's a better word for it.
I don't think there's a technical. I think that's a technical term now. Ear hole.
It feels better. The part when it was resting on the bottom edge of my bottom curve of my ear, that felt more natural. But I do say the advantage is that this feels, you barely feel, you feel it much less in your ear. So there's that. My 2 seconds on the case is that same nice design. I appreciate the sounds when you plug it in to a charger. That's a bit delightful. And yeah, let's get to your thing. Okay.
So let me get the things that I agree with you with. The size is great. I think that they are tiny, aren't they? Coming from another pair of buds, which I'll get into in a second. They I'm glad that Google is sticking with the buds style. I think it's kind of a good thing to have options with regards to earbuds, because everyone on this is making their own versions of them, right? So kudos to them. They've gone for a style and they're sticking with it. I think that the smaller size, if you're worried about the touch controls, they're still really accurate.
Yeah, there's no...
I agree with you with the case. I love the fact there's a little speaker on it. And I don't know if the audio picked that up, but as I open the case, the battery's low. So let me try that again. If I can pick this up on the audio, you'll hear this. When its battery's low, no, it doesn't want to do it now. If I open it up, no, okay. When you open them up, they'll make like noises if the battery's low. When they go on charge, you can hear the little speaker.
Yeah.
When you plug them in your ear, there's a lovely little noises, and I think Google's nailed that aspect of it because it feels just, I don't know, it feels like welcoming.
It does.
I quite like I can't complain about the fit. I think that they're so light. You screw them into your ear, they sit there, they will not budge.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you that they kind of float a little bit. And that leads me to my first problem with the Pixel Buds Pro 2. You can get rustling in your ear, and when you start using those touch controls, it's quite loud. And as someone who I have tinnitus, so it can be quite uncomfortable for me anyway when I'm listening to earbuds for a long time. But it does create an exceptional seal, so there's not much sound leakage. Therefore, you have better ANC as a result of that. But the pass-through for transparency mode is genuinely, I think I'm going to make a bold claim. I think it might be the best I've ever heard. I think it might be the best in the industry. The pass-through is almost like you're not wearing any earbuds at all. And I don't know if that's to do with the fact that there's the kind of more vent holes to let audio in. I don't know if you tried this. I tried this at a supermarket. And it is insane. I couldn't believe it when I tried it for the first time.
No, yeah. So I actually just this weekend I tested the AirPods Pro 2. For the first leg of my journey, I wore those, and for the second leg, I wore the Pixel Buds. I know everybody likes the AirPods Pro 2 for their transparency, and the Pixel Buds to me were in that range.
Yeah, I think they were a minor step above. Just because, I'm guessing that might be to do with the shape of them, and where the microphones sit. But yeah, those are the kind of the little nitpicks and then the problems, minor problems. Here's where I don't think they're a good product for me and for anyone who values audio. There are definite improvements in the audio quality. The audio is, I would say, 6.5 out of 10. There's still a heavy leaning into the bass still. I think there's still 11mm drivers, but they've been tuned. And is it a Tensor chip in the earbuds? Yes, I'm trying to remember.
Tensor A1 for ANC.
A1 chip, yeah. The ANC is excellent. And when you have that enabled, it does give you more of a round. I mean, obviously, it creates a difference in the sound profile, but I think without EQ, I would never wear these. Genuinely, I would never wear them because I think the audio's
And do you
bad.
think Google's EQ stuff is sufficient in the Pixel
I would
Buds
like
app?
I would like to see more options, but you can use third-party options like Wavelet and get a better sound profile. Maybe that tapered V that people like. But I think that's the one thing that definitely stops me from wearing the Pixel Buds Pro 2 on a daily basis, and it's one of the reasons why I stopped listening to the Pixel Buds. While they had all of the hallmarks to be a good pair of earbuds, specifically the first gen, I just fell out with the audio experience because there are better products. They were when they were released, not long afterwards, we had two exceptional audio products. And now I think, as I'm picking them up off my desk, there is a clear and obvious winner if you want to get Bluetooth earbuds, and it's still the OnePlus Buds Pro 3. I think they wipe the floor with basically any Bluetooth earbuds that I've tested in the last few years. I'm reluctantly want to say I'm an audiophile. I value good audio is how I would describe it. But it's the entire package with the Pixel Buds Pro that make them what they are. So obviously you have the excellent voice controls. I think the microphone's pretty good considering it's not near your mouth. I found them to be pretty solid for phone calls in some respects. But there's little things that have kind of frustrated me because I've used other products. But if you just go in, you want something that pairs perfectly with your phone, has that excellent Find My Device feature. I don't know if you've been using that. I've used it multiple times already because I constantly leave them down couch cushions. The case is excellent. The design, I really like the design because it's different. But ultimately, products that tout audio live and die by the audio quality. And for me, it's 6.5 out of 10. You could probably tune it to a 7.5. And that's my controversial opinion about the Pixel Buds Pro 2. But I'm wondering if anyone out there who is seriously into their audio would agree with me. I don't know how you feel about it. For podcasts, great.
Yeah,
podcasts, fine.
I'm a pretty casual listener. It probably starts with the fact that I only keep one in my ear at the vast majority of time. So with that out of the way, yeah, it's pretty. It's to me, it's the difference between that and the original Pixel Buds Pro. It comes down to the physical aspects of comfort and feel, and it's a good default buds. $229. I don't know if they're pricing it a bit on the higher side. I know it's just $30 from the first time, but I would be curious to see what it looks like in a year with discounts.
Yeah, I think when we look at the market, I think that they're fair. The price is pretty fair considering that all of the other extras that Google's cramming into these earbuds. And I do agree with you that for a casual listener, they probably are perfect. They're pixel perfect, if that makes sense. Pun intended again there. So I think you pick up, and a lot of, I'm going to say pick up, but you go and get a pre-order, for instance, and some European countries are offering a free pair of buds. Some places are now offering a free watch and buds long after release. Some of the UK carriers that I've seen, obviously you pay a little bit of a premium for that, but you get all of that ecosystem in one go, which I think is very good.
And yeah, the important thing to consider is that when you mentioned the Tensor chip, these will get updates, especially on the Gemini front. The initial Gemini experience is very basic. It just reads your notifications. It lets you launch Gemini Live easily. But the idea is that I think, because the promise of LLMs and notifications are obviously there to summarize your notifications, to like not just read them aloud, to decide what's important to you. There's a world of stuff that it can do. And you can only assume that Google will be first bringing these to the Pixel Buds and the Pixel Buds Pro 2 we'll see how they use the Tensor A1, if they do use that for anything. So it is, the promise is there of how AI can really enhance these. And I think, again, these will be around for at least 2 years. So if we're getting another big software update this time next year, I think that changes the calculus of these even more in terms of smart earbuds with smart features.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about what the original Pixel Buds in a lot of respects. They did improve drastically from day one to even now. If you bought a pair now for under $130, I think they're selling for. In some cases, I've seen them as low as about £100 here in the UK. If you just want a casual, like you say, pair of earbuds that you only put one in, or you just want them in your pocket or wherever it is, they're great for that because you get features that other earbuds don't get and won't get. And I think that's their core selling point, is that you could potentially get functionality that no other earbuds are going to get later down the line. I mean, until then, if you really want like the best audio, I definitely think you should just go and get OnePlus's Buds this year, or the Nothing Ear. Those two are far and away my favorites. I think I've kind of maybe I've been drawn into that stem style design as well. I think it makes sense from a microphone perspective, and I kind of like you can just pull the stem out and lift it out of your ear. But that's a little bit more difficult with the Buds Pro 2. You kind of have to unscrew it, yank it out, and it's a bit rustly.
Yeah, let's touch upon that. Okay, so let's first touch about stems. The thing that drives me crazy about stems, and this is as somebody that uses AirPods with my Mac, you always it's so greasy. Maybe this is just me, but you can't pull out stem-style earbuds without getting grease on your hands because just of how the top is in your ear and how it fits in the case. That drives me mad. I'm pretty sure as most people don't care as much as about the greasy fingers, but I'm like such a on that front. But yeah,
this is why you should carry those little alcohol swabs. I do have some. I could have given you some when we were. I did bring some.
I'm a huge fan of that, but not enough to like just when I need to get buds in quick. That's neither here nor there. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest, especially as we've seen with Samsung. I would not be surprised if Google's at least exploring that design. But so far, I'm happy with the buds. What was the other thing you were talking about with the buds?
Just the process of putting them into your ear is a very difficult one. Yeah,
the stabilizer arc thing about where you twist it. especially if you're exercising. I don't get that. I absolutely do not get what that does.
I think it just creates a better seal. I think it does create a great seal. I don't know. It reminds me of the original Galaxy Buds. I think it was Galaxy Buds Pro, maybe the first gen. And you that had a rubbery fin that originally gets really, really sore because the silicone was firm and then it softened up over time. To be quite honest with you, that doesn't seem to be the case here with the Pixel Buds. No. Even though it feels like plastic, but I don't know if it is. But that's
slightly rubbery, but it's pretty hard.
Yeah, but it's not uncomfortable. So I think I'm very interested to see what a Google STEM style earbud would look like. I wonder if it would be colourful all the way down, or if it'd go.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Because I'm pretty sure they're not putting lights on it. Let's get that out of the way.
No, we don't need lights on your earbuds. We definitely don't need lights on your earbuds. No, but
it's the microphone, I guess, to have like an even better microphone or longer battery life. But it's more controls. I don't know what the best way to take advantage of a stem would be.
I think all of the above. But before we wrap this up, let's talk about the battery here, because this is one thing that the Pixel Buds Pro, the first gen, did not suffer from. They were some of the longest lasting earbuds that I've ever used. So, with that in mind, the size difference change between the Buds Pro and the Buds Pro 2, I don't know what Google's been doing. Maybe they need to bring this to their phone division, because the battery is still incredible. How are they doing it with such small earbuds? How are they getting such lifespan? I wonder if it's a custom chip.
Oh, I don't think anybody has done a breakdown of what the A1 actually is, but I wonder if it's that, if they're doing something, if that's how they're getting battery life with custom low power stuff.
Well, earbuds, there's nothing worse than going somewhere and plugging in an earbud into your ear and it's run out of juice and you have to go and find. Yes. And I think they're perfectly set up to just stick on a wireless charging pad. I hate plugging them in with a physical cable. I don't know why. I just have never liked that. But the charge time's really good on a wireless pad. The battery life is incredible. I don't want to give an exact figure, but I'm pretty sure in my initial testing of it, and in Andrew, who go check out his review on the website, he did the initial review of these. I'm pretty sure between me and him, we were getting like 7 hours with ANC enabled, and we still had battery left over.
Yeah.
That's insane for any earbud, let alone earbuds this small. Credit where it's due. If you care about battery life, these are the ones. I think these are probably the ones to buy again. But I think I'm kind of undecided. I feel like I'm a 6.5, 7 out of 10 at the most with the Pixel Buds Pro. That feels like negative. Does that come across as negative?
On the audio front, or like the whole package?
Just the whole package. I think is probably between 6.5 and 7. I'm not sure where I fully stand on it, because I think, again,
you make
an audio product at the end of the day. You live and die by the audio quality, but everything else, great. That one thing that I really wanted from them, there is an improvement. Don't get me wrong, guys. There is an improvement in the audio, and on my video, go check it out. It's not the most scientific, but there is an audio test there, so you can hear them. But yeah, I think most people are probably going to be happy. Most people are not going to listen to me. They're going to buy them anyway, and they're going to enjoy them. And I'm pleased for you. I think that's great. I just think if you have high hopes for the audio, please make sure that you've done your research before you make a purchase. But yeah, Pixel Buds Pro 2, rounding out the entire Pixel launch product portfolio, I think pretty well in the grand scheme of things.
Indeed, yeah.
Indeed. And I just want to say thank you, everyone. This has been episode 29 of Pixelated. If you want to read more, see more, go over to the website, go over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe. I would love that as well. There's obviously a lot of Android 15 content as well, and some comparisons with the Pixel Buds Pro 1 and Pixel Buds Pro 2 done by yours truly. And I just want to say thanks for joining me, Abner. And
we'll see you next week.
We'll speak to you guys soon.
Bye.